and last name, and you're the family attorney, correct?
Sure. First and last name is John Wisniewski, W-I-S-N-I-E-W-S-K-I. I am the attorney representing the Dwumfour family, Prince and Mary, mom and dad, the late Eunice Dwumfour.
What do you think about the news today?
So, yeah, let's start about the news today. The family has been praying. They're a prayerful family. They've been praying that there is some breakthrough in this case, and their prayers were answered today. They're grateful for the effort that's been put into this investigation. As you can imagine, there are, for them, even more questions today than there were before. Well, prior to today, they wanted to know who was responsible, and we have an alleged murderer in custody in Virginia, but now they are trying to also understand the relationship, how this person came to target Eunice, what was the rationale. I think one of you in the press conference asked the prosecutor what the motive was. Maybe they know, but certainly they haven't shared that, and that is something that is vexing the family as we speak right now. Why would this person target their daughter? What was the rationale that was behind him?
You know, it had involved the church somehow.
Well, so they knew each other from the church. Now, whether or not there was some church-related business that was behind this is not clear to say. They knew each other. According to the prosecutor, his name was in her cell phone with the initials for the Fire Fellowship Church.
And how does that relate to the church in Newark? Is there a connection between it?
It's not clear.
Which church? Tell us about the other church. Like, we're trying to understand this.
Well, I mean, I think some of these connections we're just putting together for ourselves now at the first time. So Eunice had been involved in that church. Apparently, the person accused of this murder had been involved in that church. Whether it is as a relationship to their knowing one another in the church or for some other reason is certainly not clear.
But did the family recognize the name? Did the father?
No, the family does not recognize the face or the name.
How about the church? Do they know about that?
Well, they know about the church because they were aware of what their daughter's activities were for many years, and so they. But again, you know, whether or not to answer the question, do they know this person? Have they seen this person before? Are they familiar with the name? The answer to all those questions is no, which, as I said, leads them to more questions. Who is this person? Why would he target their daughter as alleged by the prosecutor's office? And what was the motivation? That's certainly not clear.
I think the question is, there are two different churches we're talking about, right? Or is it the same church?
I think there are two different churches we're talking about.
Which one was she at before? The Newark one, did she left to go to this
I'm
church?
not entirely sure.
Right. And sometimes churches have connections.
Yes.
You know, it's just in the same.
But it's
It could be the same house, different pew kind of thing, and I'm not clear on that right now, and I don't believe the family is clear. So there's a lot of information to unpack here for the family, even though as little as the family received today, and all of you have received about the name of the accused and where he's from. Beyond that, for the family, there are as many questions now as to why did he target Eunice? What was the motivation behind him targeting Eunice? Those are all unanswered at this point in time.
They met with the family before the press conference, so they didn't have anything to do with them on that.
Well, you know, look, I think that it's
What
a
was the
double-edged.
family told? Can you tell us that? Were you there?
Exactly what you heard in there. Exactly what you heard in there. That's what the family was told.
Can you give us a window
as far
into
as
their emotional state right now?
Well, I think that, you know, as I said, they're a prayerful, religious family. I think most of what they've said so far is thanking God that their prayers have been answered. I think it's an emotional time. Mary, the mother, is traveling, is not available today. So the daughter is in school. So there were many family members that wish they could have been here, but were not. And I think they're all digesting it, and it's a very emotional time for them. And as you can understand, they certainly didn't want to have to address this very moving information in front of a phalanx of cameras and reporters at this point in time.
Did the husband know about this?
Peter?
That's in Africa.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. He's not around right now. He's, as you said, he's overseas, so he's not available for any of us to ask that question.
As far as you're aware, this is not connected to her position as a councilwoman?
hard to say. I can't imagine the connection between somebody she knew from church and her position as counsel.
Thank you, sir.
Did they discuss extradition? Sorry.
I think the prosecutor mentioned in her comments that the next step would be extradition from Virginia to New Jersey. As you know, that's a process that can take some time unless it's waived, and then being brought and remanded to the Middlesex County Jail for custody pending further hearings.
And what about the pastor? Has the family spoken to them about knowing this person?
The pastor that was here today, Pastor Badu, Prince, and Priscilla, none of them are familiar with the image of the person accused or the name.
Thanks, John.
Sitting at the table. Yeah.
There was the father, Prince, there was the sister, Priscilla, and their pastor, Pastor Carl Badu.
Who was at the far end?
That's the pastor?
In the check shirt, in the check shirt was the pastor. The father, Prince, was wearing an army sweatshirt, and obviously you can then figure out who Priscilla is.
Is the father available to talk to us now?
I don't believe so today. I think their initial discussion internally before being greeted with the news was that they would be available. I think it's a bit of an emotional time for them, and they've asked that I come out and speak with you and provide you whatever details I had. I'm sure they'll be available at a future point in time, but not just today.
John,
Yeah.
the church, the second church you mentioned was the church that they met at. Was Fire?
Anthony, what time they got you up?
It's not the Royal Champion, right?
No, Fire Fellowship.
Fire.
It doesn't matter, I can't edit. Do it again.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask him another question.
she mentioned it in her remarks.
It left good and the whole thing melted down on the way.
They discussed Yeah, John, do you mind repeating the top of the presser? Because a lot of us came in after.
Sure. So, the top of the presser, the Middlesex County prosecutor expressed why we were here today, and then introduced the New Jersey Attorney General, Matt Platkin, who made some remarks about his pleasure in seeing this investigation come to this point, noting that there was much more that still needed to be done in the investigation and that the prosecution would continue. He thanked the Middlesex County prosecutor, and Prosecutor Ciccone took back over and gave a 10,000-foot overview that today in Virginia, in the I think it's in the Portsmouth area, assisted by local police, this individual that she gave the name of was arrested and taken into custody. She described in her press conference some of the facts that they based the arrest on. His cell phone being pinged from Virginia to New Jersey and back, Easy Pass transponder data, as well as plate reader data from the Easy Pass terminals at all of the toll booths, as well as eyewitness accounts of someone fitting the description of the person arrested, identifying him right after the shooting, as well as someone else in the neighborhood identifying the Hyundai that he apparently was driving or is accused of driving, and matching it up with the plates and the cell phone pings along the route.
And they knew each other from a church in Newark, as far as
They knew each other, specifically, you can know people because you've worked with them, you've gone to church with them. I don't think they really got into the details of exactly how they knew each other.
And what was the church called, did you say, in Newark that they both went to? Fire
Championship Fellowship. Fire Champion Fellowship.
And we don't know how
FCF.
well they knew each other, just that his name was in her phone.
Right. And so, generally speaking,
Do you know his last name?
Actually, it was his phone number.
His name.
I think
His phone number, not his
Yeah,
name.
not his name.
Excuse the left hand.
The initials.
Excuse the left hand.
Mine too.
Yeah,
Oh, was this my right hand? That was my right.
that was your right.
Is that camera still rolling?
I'm good.
One of the things that stood out in the prosecutor's comments was that they had tracked the cell phone from Virginia to New Jersey and back to Virginia on the same day.
Do you know where that Hyundai was?
So the one eyewitness that she referred to said he ran off towards Ernston Road. There have been prior press counts that he ran towards the Parkway, and that the Hyundai was parked in an irregular fashion in that neighborhood. Someone had noted it because it was parked in an irregular fashion. Perhaps he was in a rush, but we don't know.
In Eunice,
In Eunice's
not down
neighborhood.
by that.
Well, Ernston, I mean, Eunice's neighborhood is immediately adjacent to Ernston Road. So clearly it could have been on Ernston. They didn't really give a street address.
Or it could have been in the town hospital. Is that it?
Correct.
Feeding
It
this
could
back
have been in that
library
apartment
session.
complex.
What's your name again?
John Wisnes.
He's the state's one.
Sure. John Wisnes. W-I-S-N-I-E-W-S-K.
That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me. That's me.
Just thanks for David.
Dave.
I
David.
represent Prince and Mary, mom and dad.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
You good?
Thank you.
Oh.
I don't think so. Their initial inclination was that they were going to come out here. I think that, it's been an emotional time for them, and I think they want to wait.
You guys still rolling?
Yeah. No. Christian. That's the question. They were shown the image.
Yeah.
They were given the name.
No, we're good.
They were asked if they recognized the image or the name to mom. I mean, to dad, to sister, and to pastor. None of them recognize the name or the image. Now, that doesn't mean that, for instance, her husband, maybe he recognized. Doesn't mean that maybe just the mother, maybe her other siblings. You know, at this point in time, that information we don't have.
Just keep an eye for the family.
So, as I said, now the question for them is, this accused, why? What was, you know, you would presume that somebody had to be pretty angry to take this kind of step and murder Eunice. So what was the rationale? What, in that person's mind, at least, why did they think this was a necessary step? Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Chuck it on. It's happened to New Brunswick. It's happened to Woodbridge. How are you?
Good.
How do I keep in touch with you going forward?
Just want to say nice.
Dave. Thanks for. How are you? Let me show you.